The Bears are who we thought they were. That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. Bears. Stafford down the middle is intercepted. DJ Moore. Overthrows and intercepted for DJ Moore. Will I see it again? Throws and is intercepted by DJ Moore. Pushing up the hill, searching for the thrill of it. Takes the snap from his own end zone, winds up, throws, intercepted, and it's deflected. Picked up by DJ Moore. Moore to 10, 5, end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown Bears! DJ Moore, pick 6.
You are tuned in to the Chris and DJ Show with former Chicago Bears nickelback DJ Moore.
What's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Chris and DJ Show. I'm the normal Joe, Chris Shanafelt. He's the pro, former Chicago Bears defensive back himself, DJ Moore. Wasn't able to do a show last week, but here we are on this Friday evening, a day after the NFL preseason officially kicked off. Last week we had the Hall of Fame game, and then last night we had a bunch of teams playing, and we got another slate of teams playing once again tonight. DJ, what's going on, man? How's everything going?
Man, it's going all right, man. Tell everybody how your trip, man. Your trip went.
Oh, yeah. Fresh from Canton, Ohio. Fresh from really just an insane trip with Rick Sertella of NFL Draft Bible. We hit up Pittsburgh Steelers training camp. We hit up the University of Pittsburgh, a bunch of colleges. Ended up in Canton, Ohio for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and a wonderful experience that was to kind of be in Football City, USA, Football Town, USA, Canton, Ohio. But besides the Pro Football Hall of Fame, DJ, not to disrespect my people out in Ohio, but I don't think Ohio is for me. I mean, there's not much life out there besides the Pro Football Hall of Fame, my friend.
Oh, okay. How was the you said you went down to the Steelers training camp. How was it with being another traditional team? How was it compared to, the Bears training camp?
So the Steelers training camp is held in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, at a small college. Just like the Bears, they're in Bourbonnais at a small school in Olivet Nazarene. Being in Latrobe, Pennsylvania that day, DJ, it had me thinking of you and a bunch of the Bears players, and you guys had it pretty lucky in Bourbonnais compared to what the Steelers had. But like you said, I mean, another storied franchise. I mean, when you think of the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers, like the Chicago Bears, it's one of the first teams that come to mind, and it was pretty cool to be around that storied franchise, a franchise that has had a ton of success over the years. With a head coach like Mike Tomlin, and a quarterback that's going to go down in the record books like a Big Ben Roethlisberger. It was pretty cool to be around that atmosphere and be around that organization for the very first time. And you know what? One thing that really stuck out to me, DJ, there was really no hangover, or, you didn't really get this sense that this team was missing two of their better players over the past, 6, 7, 8 years in Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. I mean, you got a young roster and guys that are really looking to step up, in James Conner. And as for the receiver position with the Steelers, you got Juju Smith-Schuster. They brought in Dante Moncrief. They drafted a kid out of Toledo in the 4th or 5th round. So, they seem pretty excited with what they have, despite losing some superstar pieces on the offensive side of the football.
Oh, well, you really won't know until the game start. You know what I mean? So, do they miss Antonio Brown? Now, they've had star receivers before. And, they went on, and you had Mike, what was Mike's name?
Wallace.
Mike Wallace.
And then really, before that, Hines Ward.
Before that, Hines Ward and Randall L. used to do the reverse passes. And so they had, good tight ends. So they always had really good players. if you got in the NFL, you got a good quarterback, man. You can make anything happen. So I mean, they still got the staple at quarterback. So Moncrief has been really good. I think of late he's been a little bit down with it. I mean, when he first started emerging for, I think it was the Colts, correct? Um,
Yes.
he was really good. Big receiver who can run. So if one thing you know, Big Ben will buy some time and he'll get you the ball. So just keep running.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And Big Ben entering year 16, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously he's kind of contemplated retirement the past few off seasons, but that didn't seem like a question this off season.
He
But
only
yeah,
does that when he throws a couple of interceptions. So
yeah, right.
yeah.
Oh, we'll hear the storyline come up probably very very shortly. But so here we are talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, DJ. I mean, football is back. I mean, say what you want, it's preseason, but that only means we're 3 weeks away from the regular season opener, and that is the Chicago Bears taking on hosting the Green Bay Packers here in Chicago. And last night. The team that's in your backyard, the Carolina Panthers, they traveled here to Chicago, took on the Chicago Bears. We're not going to dive all in and dissect preseason game number 1, DJ, as much as I know that you would love to. But the starters played very, very seldomly. I mean, not much at all. Mitch Trubisky had 3 handoffs, and that was it. But for these younger guys that are looking to get the experience, I mean, David Montgomery, the Bears' third-round draft pick, their first pick this past season out of Iowa State, he got quite a bit of playing time, and he really seemed to impress many, and you could already see how he's a different type of back than Jordan Howard from the past, and even Mike Davis flashed a bit last night. I mean, whenever you got Matt Forte praising you, you know you're doing something right, and that was David Montgomery last night. Looking at this running back position, it's one of the more deep. It's probably the more with wide receiver. They probably have the most depth at this position with David Montgomery, Tariq Cohen, Mike Davis coming over from the Seattle Seahawks. We've talked about this possible 3-headed monster in the past, DJ, and I know you were kind of on the side that no, it's going to be one man's job. Somebody's going to show up and take this job. Do you still feel that way? I mean,
Well, I wanted I wanted it to be a one man job because I'm a fan of Tariq Cohen, but it won't be. It'll be him plus somebody else. The guy that is probably going to be is probably Mike Davis, because he's more of a short down back or somebody who probably can get in and block a little bit more. You're not going to want your rookie running back in pass pro. For the most part, you won't run him. I mean, he may be really. It makes it bad for one of them. Um, because on third down, Coleman is the one. Now, last night he did really good. Now, was it against? It's NFL talent, yes, but it wasn't like NFL starting talent. So you've seen Cohen do it, like from punt returns to when he gets the ball out. Like last night when I seen him do that little screenplay, in my head I was thinking Cohen would have been gone. You know what I mean? So that's why I kind of compare him to the two. So as a rookie, and I know he can run and stuff. So if he gets any plays, he's going to take him away from a player like Cohen, which for me I wouldn't be comfortable with it. Is he strong enough to be like the just put your head down, kind of a third down? I mean, not a third down, like a short yardage guy, or are they gonna use him in a way just have always have elusive backs? Because he seemed like he could catch pretty good out of the backfield. Favorite always having the ball in his left hand. I mean, he looked okay out there. So it'll give you a little more confidence. Have other guys say, "Hey, man, Forte said I did good." Yeah, it's kind of what's gonna happen. Most people won't talk bad about you because they don't want the fans to talk bad about them, so they'll support you. But I don't think you can't. I don't jump to conclusions because I'm a fan of what Tariq Cohen has done because he's been electric like against starting defenses throughout the league. So
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see.
Tariq Cohen. Yeah, I mean, Tariq Cohen certainly proved himself. Had a decent rookie season, and then last year under Matt Nagy, and this offense certainly proved himself last year. And we'll see what his role consists of this season. We'll see what the role of all three of these running backs, and of course, I should add Kareem White as well, the seventh-round draft pick running back, got some playing time last night. Number 38, really quick guy. I think he ran a 4.38 at his Florida Atlantic Pro Day. So in the very least, maybe a special teams contributor right off the bat. We'll see. So anyways, not that it matters. Panthers got the victory last night. One thing that stuck out though, DJ, this and I mean it's crazy that this is such a hot topic, but when the season ended the way it did last year, the kicker position. So they trade with the Oakland Raiders, and they acquire Eddie Pinheiro, a kicker that was highly thought of coming out of the University of Florida 2 years ago. Was with the Raiders last year, and now he's dealt to Chicago. He was his first attempt was a 48-yard field goal. He missed, and then eventually Elliott Fry, the other kicker on the Bears roster, who came over from that developmental league, the AAF. He came in and knocked down a 43-yard field goal, which of course was the same distance that Cody Parkey missed in the playoff game last year. And I know it was a preseason game, DJ, but even then, the crowd gave him a standing ovation. I'm not sure I've ever heard a crowd cheer louder for a single preseason play than when that kicker, Elliott Fry, knocked in that 43-yard field goal.
Well, yeah, and that's good for Elliott Fry. He went to, and I'm down in South Carolina.
Right.
He was really good at the University of South Carolina. So, I mean, if he can stay on, his leg didn't seem as strong as the other guys, even though he missed. He hit his. So it's still one of those things. When in Windy City, it gets a little windy. So the kicks it's going to be a little bit hard. That's why so many people was impressed by what Robbie Gold was able to do. So it was really tough. Really tough to do. So I think it just I don't know. It's exciting to like see that because they got to be nervous. I mean, it's just every time you get up to kick, everybody's nervous. But the thing that I took from it was the offense didn't really put up any points. Like even with Chase Daniels out there, you were thinking like the backup playing against backups should move the ball more, should score more, should show resemblance of somebody that's been tapped to almost a guru. You go from 8 years from really not coaching to head coaching. Like I need to see like progress in every go. You know what I mean? Like just comparing it to the Pen, like Will Greer, the young quarterback, he looked really good for the Panthers. It's like let's Chase Daniels not even look good. You know what I mean? So we putting the pressure on the kicker, but really it's like, hey man, like hopefully this offense gonna look different than this. Now it's a preseason game, but you still gonna be calling. They're gonna be running the same play. So that's what I kind of hang my hat on for that one. So hopefully the offense looked, but the defense looked. I thought the defense looked good, turning over the ball. Shelley kind of flew around. Showed some good lateral quickness. So I don't know, man. I
How,
don't know.
how about Roquan getting in there early and getting that sack early on? I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people are really looking forward to. Now with Chuck Pagano, having the keys to this defense, that maybe they'll be a little bit more aggressive than they were a year or two ago under Vic Fangio.
Well, no, not about being more aggressive. I mean, you just do what you did last year. I mean, because if you be more, don't pass interference. Well, I'm gonna review it. I don't know how they're gonna judge it once they review it. Because last night they reviewed one, I was sitting there like, well, technically it is pass interference, but they said the play stood. I'm so confused now. Now it's gonna be a big thing of like, what is passing? I would literally throw the ball. I would throw a Hail Mary and then throw a flag and say it had to be passing
Oh, there's going to be teams that are going to do that,
interference.
no doubt.
Like you should. You should do the rule. Now, if the receiver touches me first, but I challenge pass interference, do that? Just automatically say no? It was defensive pass. Like it's gonna be it's gonna be interesting, man, to say the least. So, Roquan Smith coming through the hole, making a sack, kind of picked off what he did last year. So I would expect them to still have about 125, 130 tackles, about 5 or 6 sacks, and have kind of Brian Urlacher numbers. If he doesn't get hurt, that bodes well for for the defense as a whole. And I think it's still gonna be a good year on defense. I think they'll take a step back from what they did last year, but it'll be still be a good year.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you create the turnovers and the ball rolls your way the way it did last year, I mean, you very rarely, if ever, see that happen, 2 years, 3 years in a row. So, yeah, I think most people are expecting some type of drop back, at least in terms of turnovers, but we'll see about the overall performance. And again, I mean, Roquan Smith entering his second year looked pretty solid last night in the limited snaps that he played in. Again, this is his first training camp since he held out last year. Towards the end of preseason, missed all of training camp. Khalil Mack, he's getting a training camp under his belt for the first time as a Chicago Bear. Looking on the offensive side of the football, you got Allen Robinson fully participating. So we'll see. Now, when you said when you mentioned how the offense needs to do a better job at moving the football, no doubt about it. A lot of people put the blame on Cody Parkey, which at the end of the day, I do feel like the blame was on Parkey for how the season ended last year. But as we know, the offensive side of the football could have put some more points on the board. Now, you mentioned how, hey, this offense, it didn't look too great yesterday. How come Chase Daniel isn't doing this? How come he's not doing that, moving the football down the field? What exactly are the game plans, though, DJ, for these preseason games? I mean, is there really a game plan, or are you just kind of winging it?
Oh, you have a game plan. You might do it maybe one day, go over their stuff. You normally just kind of working on you, but it's all basic stuff because even the defense is just doing. You have normally on defense you have a preseason game where you'll play mostly zone. You have one where you'll play a lot of man. You want to see who can play man. Just play all man, and then you have your third one when you kind of play, your defense. So on the defensive side, it's generic stuff. So in generic situations, you have routes for everything. Okay, over here is a cover 3 route. Over here is a cover 2 beater. Here's the check down. You would think he would just, to me, a veteran guy, he's been in the league for a while, just look more fluid. Come out against backups and look really good. You know what I mean? So I think last year, the way he looked is the way Trubisky looked all year. You know what I mean? Now, Trubisky may come out there and do whatever it is, you know what I mean, and shine, but it's just, to me, I don't know. Either is not. Well, my thing is, at the end of the year, what is it going to be? Is it either the player or is it the coach? Don't blame the quarterback. At this particular juncture, it's like, oh, the quarterback, you're not good enough, for his style of offense. So it's going to be somebody going to have to take the blame for it. And people love Nagy, I think, more than they like Trubisky.
Well, so far it's still viewed as a perfect marriage. So far, there's still, things are still going well. A year in, so we'll see what year two entails for this for this couple, I suppose. Well, preseason game one is under the books, DJ. That means we're getting closer and closer to obviously preseason game number 2 and roster cutdowns. And just looking at this roster and looking at how things are playing out, I'm not sure here on the list of topics, biggest surprise cut or possible surprise cut. And honestly, I'm not sure it's much of a surprise, but Adam Shaheen, the now third-year tight end, really just a huge disappointment. And it doesn't really get too much further than just the fact that he cannot stay healthy. And then when he is healthy, when he is suiting up, whether it's in practice or you've seen in that playoff game against the Eagles, I mean, he just gets bullied by these smaller defenders. And this is a guy that's 6'6", 270. Baby Gronk was his nickname coming out of college. He was a second-round pick in 2017 out of a Division II school, Ashland University. Absolutely dominated the competition there. Entered the NFL draft with still 1 year remaining, which is something you don't see very often from guys coming from smaller schools, specifically the Division II level. But he did just that. He gets drafted in the second round by the Chicago Bears, and it just has not panned out for him. Now it does seem like the tight end position is one of the tougher positions to make the conversion to from the college game to the pro game. Normally you'll see guys, even if they do end up having success, it might take them a year or two to get there. But with Shaheen, I mean, it all starts with his health, and he's just not able to suit up more times than not. And as they say, DJ, your best ability is availability, and that's just not there for Shaheen. I would not be surprised if he's one of those guys that are cut, come September.
Well, yeah, and I'm not that that in tune with the team to where to know about this guy, but I mean I do know a lot of times when you're a rookie they ask you to do stuff that you can't do. For instance, when Greg Olsen was in Chicago, they wanted him to block. If I'm 6'5", 6'6", running 4.5, why would I ever touch anybody but the football? You know what I mean? So saying that, I'm assuming he's one of those type of receivers because if you at a smaller school and you leave early, I mean, I can run and I can catch. Like, should I be blocking? Probably never. But I've been hurt and I haven't proven myself. So when I come in, this is what I got to do. I got to do special teams, or I got to block at the end man on line of scrimmage. Something I do not want to do. I'm a big receiver. Why you got me here blocking defensive ends? You know what I mean? So now when they've been hurt, you just never know. Now I'm not sure what he's doing now, but when you bring in veteran tight ends, now it's time to go. I can't have somebody because when you hurt, you can't learn. You know what I mean? So other than him, and when I looked at it, I had to kind of research it a little bit. Everybody's really so young. Everybody's so young to the point where like it's really not like when you had to go and fetch for him, like it wouldn't be like a surprise. When you think more surprise, you think more like because when I was playing, maybe I think Tommy Harris maybe got. I mean, so we had guys like that or whatever, but you don't see veteran guys, not on this particular team because everybody's so young and the quarterback hasn't been paid, and so you don't have really like the money issues where you would force you to say, hey, you know what, I'm I'm gonna send somebody home. But the most intriguing thing is really the kicking position. It's just that's what it is right now. Who's gonna be the kicker? Because even when he stays, if he missed one, then the kicker's gonna probably come back. Or you gonna keep two kickers? You know what I mean? Something gonna have to give. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, there's a hot name in Baltimore right now. They, obviously they have Justin Tucker. I think as of right now, he is the most accurate kicker in NFL history. But there's a guy behind him that they had for, I know last year, maybe even the year prior. Really good. He had some type of injury last year, and now the Ravens are flat out saying, hey, he's going to take all the kicks preseason. They're going to try getting some assets for him. So we'll see if the Bears have to go down that route or not. But Bears fans are certainly familiar with the Ravens situation and keeping an eye out on that. And he's one of those dual kickers as well. I think he nailed like a 48 and a 55-yard field goal yesterday in their first preseason game. And he also had like two punts for over 50 yards as well. So kind of get 2 for 1 there in that guy if they decide to look that way. So yeah, you actually hit it right on the head. I mean, besides... you kind of have to do a lot of searching around, and, a guy like Adam Shaheen is one of those names that, like you said, probably not the biggest surprise, but when looking at what this team offers right now, I mean, there won't be that huge surprise cut, I don't think, with the Bears like that maybe we've seen in the past. And DJ, you mentioned like Tommy Harris. Can you just kind of repeat what you said? You kind of cut off there a little bit. Just the biggest surprise cut that you've seen. A couple weeks ago, we talked about a big surprise trade when
well,
Greg Olsen was traded. How about a big surprise cut?
well, yeah, the Greg Olsen thing was a surprise. Probably Tommy Harris, but I think when I got there, I think he was coming off an injury. Because he was like probably one of the most dominant defensive linemen. Um, and I think that may have been a surprise, but really, I don't know if it was a surprise. Even though he's just a big time. When you see big time players get cut, it just kind of the defensive end. I think what's it? Is his name Alex Smith?
Alex Brown,
Brown.
when
Because
they
he was
acquired
good.
Peppers.
I remember him. I think I don't know if he got cut or he didn't get signed. I just remember him not being there. Let me see who else was it. So I don't know. It wasn't too because the team itself was always kind of the same. But I would say probably Tommy Harris. I would think because he was like big time, big time.
Yeah, I mean,
That Greg Olsen thing was crazy because you walk in, he walking out. You know what I mean? Like I was like,
the team's best receiver at the time,
he
right?
got traded 2 seconds ago. Like that is nuts. So.
Was that when? I mean, is that one of those moments where you kind of realize, okay, if he can get traded, then yeah, nobody's job is safe.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was just like you realize those moments, like, and I know when people watch Hard Knocks, and I want them to realize, like, when you walking in that room and you see the guy that always come and get you, to cut people, it's always one guy. Like that's real. You don't walk past him lightly, man. Like it's just, even if you know, it's like, man, like, hey, you need to stand close to me. You know what I mean? So you realize it every day because you would call somebody and tell them, hey man, you about to miss meetings, and they be like, oh yeah, I got cut. Like, oh my bad. You know what I mean? So it's real.
Yeah, you don't want that tap on your shoulder with somebody behind you saying, "Hey, coach wants to see you bring your playbook."
Ah, whole
Not a good
playbook.
feeling. Yeah, right. DJ, you story time with DJ on Earl Bennett's website, Pro Style Podcast, now Pro Style Media. You're probably, and he has a lot of guys. I mean, now Caleb Haney's writing some stories. You got former Colts corner Gerard Powers. You got a bunch of guys on there. I mean, it's really some insightful articles and. Your story time with DJ, my personal favorite, not biased or anything, but let's go back a couple of weeks before we go over this.
Well, mine's all legit now. I speak from the heart. Now. They legit. Man.
They
Go
are,
ahead,
they are, and it's a beautiful thing. We get to recap them here on the show each and every week. Let's go back 2 weeks ago, DJ. The storyline was the Bears-Packers NFC Championship game in Chicago. Winner goes to the Super Bowl. Winner wins the NFC. And as it turned out, the Green Bay Packers not only won that game, they would go on to defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Super Bowl. The whole idea, the whole story behind your article is, of course, the Jay Cutler injury, which then had Todd Collins go in, which would end up with Caleb Haney finishing the football game and making it a football game. But obviously, it didn't end the way the city of Chicago wanted it to. You kind of spoke on what was going through your mind when kind of seeing Jay Cutler mope around the sideline, ride the bike or whatever. I mean, kind of give the people just a recap of that story time with DJ article.
Well, the hard thing for me was to cause from my perspective, I want to know what is somebody actually thinking about when you actually sitting over there and you watching Todd Collins go in. Then I think he was old then. I think he'd been in the league for about 15 years or something. Like I don't know how you be a backup that long if you still in the league, whatever. You know what I mean? And then you see, Haney go in. To me, I always thought him and Caleb was kind of close, but he didn't kind of help him or whatever. Now, the whole thing about not helping, that's fine. But then Phillip Rivers. Like I've seen cats like have like the ACL torn or people carrying you to the line and you throwing passes, but you come out the side and like you fine, like you walking around. You know what I mean? Like it just blew my mind that even like I talked about like when at Clemson when what's the guy name from Texans
Deshaun Watson.
when he was at Clemson, I think he played with a torn ACL in like a bowl game or something. Like you know what I mean? You've seen it like in at the biggest game like for this particular sport. Like man, you know and good well we probably going 8-8 next year. Like we don't have time. Like this is it. And even if you hurt, you still have a long off season. You're a quarterback and you sit in the pocket. Your technology is good. They'll clean it up. You'll be back in no time. But it just to watch him sit there, I always wanted to know like what was going through his mind, honestly, because it was just blew my mind. Even though Caleb came in and did a good job, and I don't think Cutler was playing good to begin with. He always struggled against Green Bay. But you know what I mean, just to know like what is somebody thinking about? Because for me, I've had a sprained MCL before. It didn't feel good when I was out there playing. When I came off the side, this was when Carolina came off. The linebacker really couldn't do it. They were throwing it a lot. I said, man, I can go back in. Man, I limped and did okay. You know what I mean? I finished the game and then I missed about a month after that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I ain't never seen nobody. To me, I feel like he kind of quit a little bit because it just, you know what I mean? Like we the only like 4 teams left. You know what I mean? Like it's only a couple quarters. You throw a pass and just, you know what I mean? Like you walked over there. So I don't know. And you walk to the sideline, and then you on there. If you can ride a bike, your knee can turn. You can ride a bike. You know, man. You don't want to say, "Hey, I don't want to judge you." Say, "Hey, man, I don't know. You could have been really hurt." But to me, in that situation, you can't. Nah, you can't say no mas on that one. You just can't. Like, nah, I'm good. Like, you good? Like, what? What you mean you good? You know what I mean? So it was. I don't know. That was interesting. You know what I mean? I think the game went how it was, supposed to go. But yeah, that was impressive, man, to watch. So that's my thing. Really, is just like because I don't think he's never said anything about it or given his perspective of like what was he thinking, where was his head at, how he was feeling. Because to me, it's like, hey, you tell me like, oh man, I felt terrible about it. I was hurting. I wanted to be out there. I respect you more for that. But I don't think I never heard anything like about it. So I'm just kind of thinking, I always want to, know where his head was at. Honestly.
And you titled that article "Bears Shuffle Remix Goes Limp." Um, so what was the locker room like after that game, DJ? I mean, what was it a hostile environment? I mean, that was the furthest that you've made it in your career. Talking about playoffs, that was of course the NFC Championship game. You guys lose that game, your season is over, and in the fashion that you guys lost that game, I mean, the defense did its thing. Obviously, the offense. I mean, you guys go through 3 different quarterbacks. B.J. Raji scoops up a ball, takes it to the end zone. They get a defensive touchdown. I mean, I gotta think that left a really sour taste in your mouth. Not only the Jay Cutler situation, but how well you guys played on the defensive side of the football.
Well, no, you got to give Haney credit because when he came in and did what he did, it was impressive to see. Like because they came out, they scored really fast. First drive took a little time, scored. I think it was before halftime, like 14-0, and the defense kind of pretty much shut every. I mean, they didn't score again until Raji had the interception. So you was kind of happy with it on the defensive side, and then we had I think it was personal foul, roughing the pass on Pebbles. I think that kind of kept a drive or two going. So I mean, it wasn't. It made you upset because you wanted to be in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like when you in Chicago, when they started to talk about like if you win a title, a football title in Chicago, oh my goodness, that's it. You know what I mean? You dreaming of like, man, the Super Bowl suffer, got your pants pulled all the way up to your nipples, doing your little dance and your little rap. So it would have been, man, it would have been a cool. It would have been a cool thing, not only to, you know what I mean, to either win it or even just play in it, honestly. But I feel like if he wasn't hurt, you know what I mean, and I don't know how the game would have went. I just felt like because he had been playing so good in the playoffs, you know, throughout the year. So I think anything could have happened. You know, coming out the second half, figuring out the defense and the way we was playing, you know, eventually we would have made something happen. But yeah, but I mean, you just upset. But then you know the game is over. There, you know, what I mean, it is what it is. But I think the time was right for the picking for Aaron Rodgers. It was like his time now. I think win one. But as you can tell for him, you know it's hard, man, to win another one or even get back to it. So got to take advantage of it. I'm in the playoffs any other time. So plenty of long time we was in the playoffs. So it's hard to get that, man. So it was exciting to do it, to play in the playoffs and play an NFC Championship game. But you know, the way it goes sometimes, the way the cookie crumbles.
That's it. That's it. And again, that was back in 2010, and the Bears' first time back in the playoffs was just last season. So it's been quite the drought. We'll hope they
Yeah.
get there again, once again, this coming season. Certainly looks like that they're in for a pretty decent, to say the least, season. I mean, the NFC North is stacked, and we'll get to that in just a second. But uh, this past week's or this week's story time with DJ Moore. Again, we're going over two of them because we missed the show last week, but this week you released a story. What Hall of Famer Brian Urlacher told me, and it's how you got your nickname Baby Backer. Obviously playing nickelback, and you were kind of welcomed into that linebacker room. With some really great players. You got the Hall of Famer Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs. I always thought Nick Roach was an underappreciated player. I always thought he was pretty decent at what he
Yeah.
did. Certainly with those two guys. Baby Backer. I mean, you said no. I'm not the Bears nickelback. I'm the Baby Backer. It's a name that you really took a lot of pride in.
Oh yeah, man. When a great player give you a nickname. Now I'm I'm a real confident guy. You know what I mean? Now I was the best linebacker we had. Let's get that out of the way. Um, but man, everybody was real cool, man, especially on defense. Like and just talking about like in 2010 and depending on everybody and Lovey's whole thing was the defense is the superstar of the defense. Like everybody had to do their role. You know what I mean? And Urlacher, was a center vet, call the plays or change them if he needed to. But especially when they cover two scheme, everybody had their own role, and everybody knew everybody else's role. So if I got stuck out there or somebody else got stuck out there, they knew, they knew what to do. And coming to the team when you first meet somebody, you thinking like they maybe not be cool. You know what I mean? Because you're a superstar. Like you never know. You know what I mean? And then when you meet a cat, like he's just real cool, real laid back, always laughing. Even if he yell at you, he'll come back and kind of like a parent. He had a real parent, like he'll try to lighten the mood a little bit. You know what I mean? And then, um, you always keep everything light. You know what I mean? So when he was shy, he didn't like to talk or anything. Like before games, he may have talked once, and his voice was cracking bad. Like he was real like shy. Man, on the field, he was on the field, but like he didn't want to like get pep talk. Like when he talked, you knew something. Like we was losing or something was going on. You know
Well,
what I mean?
I remember they made a
Uh,
big deal about it. He spoke to the Bears team last year before the Hall of Fame game. Obviously, it was a Bears-Ravens Hall of Fame game. Both
yeah.
Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher being inducted. He actually spoke to the team before that, and they made a big deal out of that because it happened so seldomly.
Oh yeah. So the situation was like my mom, because I had my mom down with me, but I had did a story about my mom smoking. She had been smoking since I was like a sophomore in high school. And I was just telling him about the issues with that, like the story in the newspaper. And I remember him just coming up to me, telling me, man, I pay for your mom to go to any rehab, blah, blah, blah. You won't owe me anything. But he was just a cool cat like that. And I mean, I didn't accept it, but he was just, for somebody to, extend that olive branch. You know what I mean? I remember going over, his house. He invited me to his house. He had anything going on. Man, he was always real cool, with everybody. Invite people over his house weekly and stuff and have dinner and stuff like that. So he was always a real free spirited guy. But man, it was an honor to be, to get to line up beside him. You know what I mean? And I think as he got older, I had to do more than he did probably. Because a lot of times we were in it, the stuff that I would run through the middle, and we always like work together or whatever. Or he would look at me and say, "Oh, you did this wrong," and I was like, "Nah, dude, that was yours, man." But I said, "Don't look at me like that on TV because you look at me like that, they don't think I did it wrong." You know what I mean? But he was real, man. He was real cool. Real cool cat to play with, honestly.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, Hall of Fame linebacker coming in, you're probably like you didn't know what to think of him, and he turns out to be one of the cooler teammates. And like you said, I mean, ending the article the way you did, offering to pay for your mom's rehab, and like you said, even though you didn't accept it, but just to have that. Out there, I mean, just for anybody to kind of offer that. I mean, you gotta respect the guy for that alone. DJ, we hear so many stories about whether it was dodgeball games, ping pong battles. I mean, I know Urlacher, or so the stories say Urlacher was always pretty good at that stuff. The activities you guys did, like
ping pong. He was a dog at ping pong, man. Like he was a dog. He was probably the best, and then came behind him, probably been like Robbie Gold. But he was a dog at ping pong.
I want to know who was the worst, though. Who was the worst ping pong player?
Honestly, everybody who played could play. Like, it would be like doubles. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it was like, everybody who played could actually play. And it was impressive. You know what I mean? Because I met a couple people, high school, my principal maybe, and the PE teacher taught me how to play, and I played a lot. But, man, everybody could play, man. It was impressive. Like, man, people could play, man. Now he was the best of. He was the best of that group, but everybody could play.
And looking at now, just I want to look at some of the NFC North teams now. DJ, moving on, it's going to be another dogfight in the NFC North. The Chicago Bears won the division last year. A lot of people are high on what the Green Bay Packers did in the offseason, acquiring some nice defensive talent, highlighted by, of course, former Bears safety Adrian Amos. I have been one that has been a little higher on the Lions, I think, than what the national media has given. At the end of the day, though, they do have Matthew Stafford under center, and that's only going to get you so far. And I'm not too big on Matt Patricia as well as a head coach. He might be a great defensive coordinator. I'm not sure he can control an entire 53-man roster and have success at doing so. So while I do still think the Lions will probably finish last in this division, I think just their overall talent, though, their talent is something to look out for. But again, I'm not sure the right coach is there to coach that talent up and to win football games. And then, of course, you got the Minnesota Vikings, a team that was expected to win this division last year by the national media. I'll say the same thing about Kirk Cousins, though. I mean, he's only going to get you so far. I mean, I kind of put both him and Matthew Stafford in the same category, but I got to say, I think Stafford has a higher ceiling than what Kirk Cousins brings to the table. Now, Minnesota, I mean, they're stacked on the defense side of the ball. Big fan of Harrison Smith, their star safety. You got Everson Griffin, Daniil Hunter on the defensive line. They're stacked with pass rushers. So they're going to be a team that's looking to rebound. And between them and Green, I'm not really sure what to think of Green Bay. There seems to be some friction already between Aaron Rodgers and the new head coach, Matt LaFleur, who came over from Tennessee. We'll see what the new offense that he's implementing looks like. So looking at it from a Chicago standpoint, I mean, Minnesota, I think, is the team that I'm going to be on the lookout for the most. Obviously, you always got to be concerned about Green Bay. You always got to be concerned about a team with a great quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. And, again, I mean, history, at least under Aaron Rodgers, doesn't treat the Bears too kindly. Hopefully that turns around under this Matt Nagy and Mitchell Trubisky duo regime, I suppose you could say. But, just looking, I guess for you, DJ, we'll start off with the Minnesota Vikings. Again, I think they're probably the team that the Bears have to be on the lookout for the most when looking at the NFC North. This is a team that that were full of expectations last year, and they actually missed the playoffs last year. So they're going to come in hungry. They're going to come in determined. And
That's the difference.
what's
So they
that?
made the playoffs.
No, I think they just missed it. I think they're in 9-17. All right, I got you. I'll look it up right now.
I felt like I thought they made it. I'm not sure. I thought they did.
No, I think the Bears ended their season. I think the Bears and Vikings. It was the last regular season game. If the Vikings won that game, then they would have made it to the playoffs. Now, it was the year before where they had the Minnesota Miracle against the New Orleans Saints.
Well, yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, okay. But I thought they did make it though. I thought they did because they was talking about Kirk Cousins not performing in the playoff game, and I thought they lost. But you gotta. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, 8-7-1. The Minnesota Vikings went, and they did not qualify for the playoffs.
Oh, okay. Who's in the playoffs then? And then,
I think the Bears were the only NFC North team represented.
man, just pull it up. I gotta make sure. Pull up all the playoff bracket from last year. I didn't hear that because I remember this, man. I gotta get this.
All right.
I remember Kirk Cousins. He was struggled at something they were talking about.
All right, give me a second. Pulling it up right now.
Oh well, yeah, but the Minnesota, if I feel like their defense was really bad last year. Not their style of defense. So I think that's probably the number one team because they seem like the Vikings have the Green Bay's number. So this division could. I mean, honestly, I think it's a 3-team race. Detroit, I don't like at all, but you like Matthew Stafford, I do not. So it's kind of up to you. You assume that does Green Bay miss it 2 years in a row with arguably the best quarterback in the league? That's a tough pill to swallow. So I don't know. And you got it.
Let's see. All right, so I have the playoff bracket here. So out of the NFC, you had okay, so it was Philadelphia and Chicago. We know how that ended. Seattle, Dallas. And then you also had the Rams, New Orleans, and that was all for the NFC.
Okay. All right, we're good. You right. You said so they had to win the last game, and that's what it was. He couldn't perform in big. Okay, all right, that makes sense. All right, you.
Say that one more time for me. I can't get enough of that. Just go ahead and say.
No, you're right. But it's like you said, so yeah. So it's I think it's just a toss up. You got for Green Bay, they trying to get better on defense. When they won the Super Bowl, well, they had a good defense. So I think they're trying to improve that. I'm assuming they'll do better. Um, Detroit always they gonna win games. You don't know which ones they'll win, but they could split with just about everybody. I think Green Bay always has their number, but it's gonna be interesting. I think this year they're gonna force Trubisky gonna have to step up to win it this year. The division. He's gonna have to step up. I don't think his defense is gonna be, the same. So he's gonna have to, put a little something in on it. So I would say that
How far of a drop off are you expecting from the Bears defense? I mean, are they still going to be top
I'm gonna say
five?
I think they'll make the playoffs, but they won't win the division. I'll say that.
So what team do you have as the NFC North winners?
I think it's gonna be Minnesota. I think their defense, because I think them and the Bears defense are the same, really. You know what I mean? You can go 1A, 1B, or 1A, 1A if you wanted to. Like when they're on. Last year they kind of went on, but they have all the elements from defensive backs to pass rushers to safeties. So I think they all for some reason they always bad. My bad.
I'm sorry, you cut off there a little bit, DJ.
But I'm gonna go Minnesota. I
Okay.
think Minnesota will win the division.
Okay.
I think the Bears could make the playoffs, but I think Minnesota will win the division.
All right.
But I think Green Bay will miss the playoffs again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at Green Bay's roster right now, and they do have a lot of young talent, and they have a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. I'm really liking their defensive backfield. Now with Adrian Amos, they also have some guys like Joshua Jackson and Jair Alexander entering year 2 of his career. But I don't know if they're going to have enough of what it takes to win the division. Again, they do have Aaron Rodgers, and that certainly works favors in their in.
But he does have a new offensive scheme, which
Right, and
for an older quarterback, it normally doesn't work out well, man.
And it's already looking that way, at least chemistry-wise, and the things that Aaron Rodgers is saying. I mean, there's some things that Matt LaFleur is doing that he's just not a big fan of, not too crazy about this offense, and we'll see how that whole marriage works out. But all right, so you have the Minnesota Vikings winning the NFC North. I think it's going to be close, but it's you're going to make fun of me. It's going to be the homer pick, but I think the Bears are in a great position to win the division yet again. I mean, the schedule as a whole is going to be a lot tougher than last year. I'm not saying they're going to go 12-4 like they did last year. I'm not sure what would win this division. I think 10-6 would be cutting it close, but I would say 11-5 will win this division. I just think obviously the kicker position is their biggest weakness. It's their biggest question mark still to this day. But you take that out of the equation, and obviously I know you cannot, or else I would have done that by now. But I mean, offense, defense. I mean, this team has it, and they have a lot of depth as well. But as you said, DJ, the key thing is Mitchell Trubisky. He needs to make a big jump. Year 2 in this offense, and he's gonna have to show. He's gonna have to show that he's comfortable and understands this lingo that Matt Nagy is spitting at him. So yeah,
that's why I'm going Minnesota. Kirk Cousins is better than Mitch Trubisky. This is what it is.
Maybe for now,
the
but
defenses are the same. But the quarterback, I lean more towards Cousins.
Okay.
So.
See, but I would say now Kirk Cousins has Gary Kubiak now there in Minnesota, and I do like Kubiak a lot. But you also got. Well, now I'm going against what I'm saying because I totally forgot until I said it that they have Kubiak. But so, anyways, Kirk Cousins is going to be working with a new offensive mind as well. Not offensive. Yeah, he will be the offensive coordinator because John DeFilippo took another job. Where it's escaping me, But so you got Kirk. That could be another storyline. I mean, we know the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. He's all defense, Mike Zimmer. So we'll see what the Minnesota Vikings offense looks like under a new offensive mind, an experienced offensive mind, a Super Bowl winning offensive mind, and Gary Kubiak with Kirk Cousins. But anyways,
Well, he does. I mean, when he was there, he do a lot of those stretch plays, even when he was at with the Texans. So I think the running game itself will improve. So if you're in fantasy, you probably should pick up one of the Minnesota Vikings running backs. Kind of that whole stretch running thing where Peyton Manning will fall down trying to get it out there, and then they'll do some play action and stuff, so boops and stuff like that. So he'll be good. Minnesota, they'll make it happen. I don't want to say it, but it just got to be said.
I'll send the Minnesota Vikings team apparel your way, DJ.
There you go.
Hey, that's going to do it for tonight's show. DJ, as always, appreciate your time. Had a good time, as always. Hope everybody out there enjoyed listening. In case you missed tonight's episode and want to catch it in its entirety, you can do so over at YouTube. Just search Chris and DJ Moore Show, iTunes, Spotify, all the same thing, Chris and DJ Moore Show. Go ahead, follow DJ on Twitter at DJMoore30. You can follow me on Twitter at Chris Schanfeld. Both of our Twitter handles are underneath us on this very screen here. And then, of course, Storytime with DJ Moore. Recapping the Storytime with DJ Moore is always a big hit here on the show. So go ahead and check out what DJ Moore writes each and every week over on his buddy Earl Bennett, former Chicago Bears wide receivers website, ProStyleMedia.com. And again, Earl Bennett has a bunch of athletes, whether it's Storytime with Earl, you got Storytime with Caleb Haney now, and a bunch of other NFL players. So must read stuff, especially the Storytime with DJ Moore.
To do like a post game show too. So
okay,
check us out, man. I don't know. We was gonna do it in preseason, but I think we probably won't start it until probably the first game of this year. So.
Okay, so
he's trying to set that up, so hopefully we get it in time.
Yeah, must listen, must watch stuff right there. Any final words, DJ, before we wrap up the show?
Nah, man, Trubisky, hopefully he'll make it happen, but until then, Kirk Cousins is the man right now.
Kirk Cousins or die, huh? That's what it's going to be. That doesn't sound very enticing, DJ.
Yeah. I'd rather have that. I'd rather have him than Trubisky. So
and that's where we will end the show at. Hope everybody enjoyed listening. Again, be sure to send all Minnesota Vikings fans and apparel DJ Moore's way, as he will now be supporting the purple and gold over there in his South Carolina home. And that is a former Chicago Bear himself. Such a shame. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed. And until next week, take care, everybody.